This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You are not Mickey Mouse. You are a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Ooh, welcome. Did I do that right? Nathan usually does that a little longer, right? Ooh, welcome to Rat Castle. We are a progressive chat about theme park magic without the pixie dust. I'm Dave Cobb, our usual producer and spokes rat. Nathan Hartman is out this week, but with me today, I have a beautiful melange of people in front of me that I love dearly. The first being Janine. How are you, Janine?
Hey, I'm here.
Yay, you're here. Woo!
Yeah, but I'm glad to be here.
Next up, we have a world traveler currently calling in from Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, Saara.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going real well, other than this me having a voice way down here like I've been coughing all day, but it's just allergies, not COVID, I swear. And then last but certainly not least, the lovely and talented Victoria.
Oh, I don't know about talented. You hyping me up there.
All righty. We got a doozy of a show today, folks. We got a lot going on. And in particular, I'm very excited for something in the middle of our show where we're gonna talk to Saara about her trip to the theme park I worked on in Abu Dhabi. She's in Abu Dhabi. She went to Warner Brothers World. I'm very excited to hear what she has to say, but we'll get to that eventually. We'll get to that. First things, let's go to the news. All right, first things up, we got theme park news. Victoria, why don't you start us off with Walt Disney World?
Awesome. So first things first, we've gotten a first look at one of the murals that is coming to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm not sure if it's going to be at both locations, but the murals artwork was done by, I believe it's Malika Favorite, who is local to Louisiana and a local artist. Her work has been in the Baton Rouge Gallery, and it is featured with a collection that explores the cultural heritage of African Americans and who we are as a people. So the mural basically continues the storyline for The Princess and the Frog, and it features scenes on two of the building's exteriors as you enter the queue, and it highlights Tiana's journey as a chef and with her creation of Tiana's foods. It looks pretty much similar to African American artwork that I've seen, particularly for Louisiana as well. So I think it's a great addition to it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's got sort of a what do they call it? Folk art, outsider art kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
you know, which is really great. I mean, you don't see a lot of that in the parks, and it feels really fun. Like the colors are amazing. What's the gator's name again? I forget his name.
Lewis.
Lewis, right, of course, Louis Armstrong, right. Louis, excuse me. And he's blowing his trumpet, and there's like this rainbow of color and notes coming out and swirling around all the plants of the bayou. It's really, really cute. What do you guys think?
I think it's a lot of fun. Like you said, I absolutely love the colors. It's really different. It does really give a lot of that Louisiana vibe and feel to the ride and just that general area. So anything Tiana, you will never hear me saying like anything negative, never coming out of my mouth. I am always obsessed, always in love, always ready to defend her.
I did eat at the Tiana's out here that opened up at Disneyland, and it was great.
How was that?
It was good. It was good. I had the
I enjoyed.
I had the muffaletta.
Well.
I had the muffaletta sandwich. It was really, really nice, and it was packed. Like, oh my god, the line to get in was crazy. So
Really?
Yeah, it was
because when I went, it was very chill.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah, and it was like the week after.
Well, this was, you know what? This was on. I think this was on Gay Days Saturday, like a couple weeks back. So, which it's funny. Gay Days is a little more crowded than usual. I don't know if I'm going to be going back after this year because it's bookended by two Oogie Boogies. And because of that, like families on Thursday and Sunday. So there's families that come in now that whole weekend. So it's really packed. Anyway, apropos of nothing, we can move on to more Walt Disney World stuff. And I know in particular, Victoria, you are so excited that this next one is your jam for the holidays.
Yes, this is what the kids would call my Roman Empire.
Are you dreaming about this every night now?
Honestly, I really am. I really like this is like legit the highlight of like the end of my year. But yeah, so Disney came out with a foodie guide for Jollywood Nights, and I'm gonna be completely honest, on first glance at this, I was very overwhelmed because the event is only like 4 or 5 hours and there's like 60 plus items on this foodie guide.
I know. And on top of that, you have to buy a separate ticket to get to that expensive event food. I'm kind of like, wait a minute. I hope some of this is served during the day too. Maybe no.
No, it's only for the event.
Oh
It's
man.
so cool.
But that ticket, how much is it?
Mine
100
was
and something bucks?
well, for regular guests it's 180. Mine was about like 160,
Oh
170.
God, I can't imagine. Oof. But you're right. The food is bomb. The food looks so good. We're looking at the Disney Parks blog entry for it, and it's literally like, I want to try every single thing. Although the Christmas Gertie cookie is a good mascot for all the food. That was adorable.
It is currently my Twitter header.
Of course it was.
It's my Twitter header.
Of course
Someone go
it is.
check and confirm right now. There's no way.
Like one
I
of the,
changed it yesterday.
like the one that jumps out to me is they have a savory funnel cake that is spicy Korean chicken funnel cake.
I'm
Oh,
very
what?
intrigued by that
So
one.
that kind of leads me because I was like, oh my God, savory funnel cakes. And it made me look at the menu and they have like no real vegetarian.
None at all.
Yeah,
that,
no.
that stuck out.
And
to
I
me a
noticed
lot.
that too. I noticed
There's
that as well.
Like our
the
only entree is a mushroom taco.
That's it.
That's
Really.
it. And then we get roasted eggplant dip with a couple little pitas, and that's it.
Which is
There's-
crazy because I feel like they've been like really diving into Impossible Meat, Beyond Meat, like really going into the
none
vegan
of it
dishes.
is there.
It's very surprising.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a huge bummer for me.
That is.
should I note the two
There
events?
is an olive and goat cheese flatbread. But what are the two events?
The Twilight Soiree at the Tip Top Club and Jazzy Holidays at the Hollywood Brown Derby.
Oh my God, they
cool.
ate with that art. Look at the art.
The art is
The artwork
incredible.
is incredible.
Yeah.
So before I forget, Jazzy Holidays, you have to add yourself to a walk-up list too.
Oh, they're so annoying.
Oh, there's a tofu bao at the Jazzy Holidays. Because I didn't already desperately want to go to Jazzy Holidays.
I mean, out of 60 plus items though, there's like what, 4 or 5 things?
Four savory vegetarian items.
I wonder if they have like vegetarian options that they didn't. I mean, even then, I feel like they would have.
They would have put them up.
They would have put
Yeah.
them up there. They just forgot about us.
I'm looking at the comments now to see.
Yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of irate people. I mean, and the thing is, what would be really simple for them to do is take another 5 or 8 things that have meat in them and do a version of it without. Because I know it's harder when I know it's harder when it's like a gravy or a soup base or something that is, bouillon or chicken or beef. That's harder, but it's not hard on a burger to make an impossible version of the same thing.
They make little
Right.
chicken things, like make the spicy chicken funnel cake with a vegetarian chicken. I would weep for that.
Yeah.
Have you
It
had
looks-
good vegetarian chicken? Like, I'm being so serious. Like, I have not
Oh,
had good vegetarian
yes.
chicken.
The Impossible makes really good.
The Impossible
vegetarian
chicken is surprisingly great. I actually
It's
had
great.
it once and did not know it was impossible.
Oh wow!
And I finished it and I was like, oh, that was really good. And a friend said, wait a minute, I think I ordered you the wrong one. And we looked at the receipt. I went, okay, great.
Yeah. Next time you're at like an AMC, they have Impossible chicken nuggets. They're
I
so
have
good.
I've
Really?
been dying to try those. Because for me, like, I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but if I see like a vegan option, I'll usually go for that because
Right.
I just prefer, like, I just think it's better. It's cleaner for me personally. But every single time I've tried vegan chicken, it just has not been that great. So I usually avoid it. But I'm gonna try those AMC nuggets.
Made a vegetarian fried chicken once from scratch that was incredible.
Whoa. Ooh.
Maybe if you come visit Walt Disney World, Saara, I will make it for you.
Girl, I will
It
be there.
takes like a full 2 days to do it, but you're worth it. I'll do it.
Because you have to
Don't send me invites.
I
I'll show up.
bet you have to brine it and get it all ready.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you, Sarah. Like I am an omnivore, but the older I get, the more I'm sort of trying to lean more towards flexitarian and do
Yeah.
as much fish and veggies and as I can.
Mhm.
And you know, and even the fake meats I think are a great step for a guy like me, because it's like I had an Impossible Burger, they're fine. It's I really don't notice the difference when it's got the right toppings and the right bun and the right preparation. It's like, okay, I'll do this.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the bugs, the bug meal stuff that we're gonna start
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
soon.
No.
The cricket meal. No, cricket flour.
I've heard it's good.
It's great.
I
No.
won't eat it, but I've heard it's good.
Oh, is it because you like bugs too much too? Is that
It's just non-vegetarian.
It's not. It isn't really. You're right. It isn't really.
Yeah.
It's more. That's more about being able to feed a lot of people a lot of protein on a
Yes.
very small footprint. That's really
Yep.
what that kind of stuff's
Yep.
about. But
Would you really get a lot of protein? Sorry, but like, would you really get a lot of protein?
yes.
Wow.
Yeah, cricket flour.
Okay.
There's a lot. You're starting to see what used to be TVP, textured vegetable protein, which is like vegetarian ground beef substitute, and you're starting to see ones that are made from processed bugs, basically. And they don't look like it. They don't look gross. They just look like some sort of mealy kind of product. But you can use it in a lot of different things. Jason made a couple things with it, and it's great. Actually, in baked goods, the cricket flour works really well. But anyway,
Interesting.
yeah. All right, so moving on to now we have some price increases. This is the wah part of our Walt Disney World update.
I mean, I guess I could just go through the whole thing and then we can.
Yeah, let's go through
for it.
let's go through all of them.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna lightning round this. So first things first, I left off with the good news. Beginning January 9th, 2024, guests with a ticket with park hopper benefits or an annual pass will be able to park hop at any time during park hours. Now, the only catch is if you're a pass holder, you still have to get a park pass reservation if you want to go to Magic Kingdom on Saturdays or Sundays. So otherwise,
Not bad.
you're good to go. So yay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's acceptable.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the simplest thing I've fucking seen. But annual passes have increased depending on your pass type between $30 to $50. So for example, I have a sorcerer pass right now. I paid $9.69 on a monthly plan, but it is now $9.99. So I'm about to be paying $1,000 for the day pass.
I still do not understand why there's not parity between the East Coast and West Coast in terms of the names of the passes. It is so
weird.
It's so dumb to me. Like, it's such a weird branding choice that they don't match, you know?
Yeah, you would want some consistency. So Memory Maker, if you did advanced purchase, it was 185. Well, now it's 185. It used to be 169. If you do it after, it used to be 199. Now it's 210. If you do it the day of, it's 69. It was $69, and now it's $75. I know no one that uses Memory Maker, so there's that.
But doesn't it come with, if you're staying in a hotel, doesn't it automatically come with it? Like, that's
It used to
it used to.
pre-pandemic.
It doesn't now. Okay.
Nope. Let me see. Oh, parking is now $30, but to be
Oof.
fair, a lot of the other parks in stuff are near them also charge $30, so I'm not really gonna knock them for that.
It's $30
But-
over here, or not over like in Anaheim.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
But if you do preferred parking, depending on the day, it can range between $45 to $55.
If y'all don't walk,
Like,
Just
child,
walk.
I will walk to the gate.
that's a whole meal difference.
There was a ton of increases on snacks. I'm not gonna get into anything specific, but some have gone up as between 20 cents to about $2 in cost. So like, for example,
Damn.
like a beef skewer at Tiffin's is now $4 instead of $3. Like alcohol has been bumped from 50 cents to $1.50 increase. So like things like that. Like
I support that. The way y'all be drinking in the parks.
Honestly,
support it.
yeah. I was at Epcot this weekend and there was someone puking in the stall next to me. And it's like, yeah,
Oh, God.
maybe they just got a stomach bug that hit them in the middle of Epcot, or it's just the weekend at Epcot and they went too
at food
hard.
and wine, no less.
Yeah.
So if you plan on doing any restaurants that have pre-fixed prices, those have gone up as well. So that includes Cinderella's Royal Table, Be Our Guest, Acacia's, Ohana, Liberty Tree Tavern, Diamond Horseshoe, Tusker House, Crystal Palace, Chef Mickey's, Topolino's, Hollywood and Vine, and Boma. They are looking like, depends on where you're going and if you're doing breakfast or lunch or dinner, but it looks like anywhere between like a $30 to $40 increase.
That's a
Okay.
lot.
That's a lot.
Wait, what?
For the
Oh wait, no,
dessert
my math
parties.
is wrong. My math is wrong. My bad. It's like
It's like $5.
my bad. My bad.
It's like $3 to $5.
It's $3 to $5. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, I believed it. I believed it would have been $30 to $40.
Right. The fact that we weren't shocked, like completely shocked, is
Yeah.
key to that. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Victoria, this is a journalist like situation here. You got to get the facts
I
right.
know.
When-
My integrity.
She's
my
doing
credibility.
PR for Disney. It's the classic, like you tell someone something terrible and then you're like, oh, actually,
Exactly,
it's
right.
not the terrible thing. It's way
And
better.
you go,
than
oh,
that."
so everything's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Bait and switch.
The dessert parties, which there's only like 3, they've increased, looks like about between $10 to $20, depending on which one you do, which isn't terrible, but I also remember when they used to be 50, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the water parks in mini golf. So 1-day water park ticket for an adult is $75 now. It used to be $69. Children's have stayed the same, I believe. Oh, nope, I lied. They used to be 63, now they're 68. And mini golf, the children price has stayed the same, but adults pay $20 now. And that's what you missed on Glee.
$20 for mini golf? Damn.
Yeah.
Mini
Yeah,
golf.
especially that's the Fantasia one, right?
Yeah.
That's the only one. Oh no, Winter Summerland.
No, there's 2.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
2
okay.
of them. Fantasia and Winter Summerland.
But isn't this also like the first time they're going to be operating both water parks in like 8 years or something like that?
I don't know.
Since
'Cause it used to be
COVID,
the-
are they even both open?
No,
think
They
they
just
still only
said
have
maybe.
one.
Oh,
They actually just said today, I think Blizzard Beach is opening for the winter season.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Hey, global warming is coming up. Like, they got to open up the
Yeah.
parks.
I think so far it's been like cold. Like,
Really?
yeah, like in the 50s.
Oh yeah, it's been cold in
Already,
Florida.
yeah.
yeah.
I think
Girl,
that's
it's
gonna be
110 degrees over here on a good day.
That's
Like,
nuts.
that's below
yeah.
freezing for me.
Yeah. Summers there were brutal.
Dave, I'm dying.
Actually, actually dead.
Literally.
Hashtag melting. Well, at least all the theme parks there are indoors, so you stay cool.
Very true.
All right, so that's a lot of price stuff. We have all additional price stuff to talk about at Disneyland too, which we'll get to in a minute. But before that, let's talk about a fun thing at Disney before we talk about the crappy things. Saara.
Yeah, this is really exciting, actually. So Walt Disney Imagineering and Disney Research have come together to create a free-roaming bipedal robotic character in the Disney parks. So this is supposed to be themed after BD Unit Explorer droid from the Star Wars movies. And guests can see them over at Disneyland, obviously, because we get all the cool stuff and y'all gotta wait for it later. So
Ever
yeah,
get
they're or never get it.
It just never comes.
or never get it. I just want it to be nice. I just want it to be nice, Jenny. I want to give y'all
Giving me
hope.
hope.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
because
I mean, these are super cute. I mean,
They're
they are
so
really,
cute.
They are.
really adorable, and they are sort of learning. Like, they do all sorts of different walks and animations. They have character because they worked with the animators to help figure out, what shapes and faces and things would work well. And it is bipedal, so it balances itself and it walks. It's pretty impressive. But the first thought I had after seeing this was, yeah, this is Muppet Mobile Labs. This is the dragon flying over Fantasyland. We're going to see it once, and then we're never going to see it again. I prove me wrong. Like, I love you, Disney, but you do this every time. You roll this stuff out and you test it, and you go, "Oh, that's cute," but one kid, trips over it, and you're like, "Nope, not going to do it. Too much risk."
I'm just gonna say, where's the Hulk at? Where's the Hulk that we saw last year?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. That's
Wasn't that
another
always
great
temporary?
example. No, that
Was
they
it?
rolled. Was it? I thought they rolled that
I
out to
don't
be
think
like,
it was. Yeah.
No, I remember. Matter of fact, yeah, I distinctly remember them saying it was only for the holidays because I remember
ugh.
going and I was like, I have to see it because it's only temporary.
It's
I just
just
feel like for
weird.
them to create. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's just insane for them to be pouring millions and millions of dollars into something so temporary. I don't think. I think they just said it was temporary because somebody broke it. They
That's
don't have a
exactly
pile
what
of
I was going to
yeeted
say. Like,
Hulks. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, is
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. It's just like this is not cheap to develop. So I hope, I hope it has some, like, the thing to do would be to write a show around them with a talent that leads them out like baby ducks. And then you use what they've learned, because evidently they can learn expressions, they can learn movement, they can look at somebody and copy their movement. Like if they did a little dance show with kids and told them to do, and you assign the moves to them so that they do stuff they know the robots can do. That's magic. That's fun. That makes it like Star Wars droids that I'm interacting with, and it's nothing more than having three of them walk out, put on some music, and walk them back. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
It's a 10-minute show, if that. But hopefully they'll do that. I just don't know. I hope they do, but
I'm scared for the Ducks. The Ducks, y'all better get on that. Get yourself a union. Get it together because the machines are coming for you. Like, these are basically machine ducks. Like,
well, we always make those jokes about the ducks in the parks anyway, right? Oh, they look so real,
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They better get on. Are they a part of SAG? I don't know. They got to get on a union.
Donald is their spokesperson, their spokesduck. So
yeah, but it's super cool, super cute, but we'll see what happens. They were only there for a day. So hopefully they come back, but I mean, don't hold your breath. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately, we're also jaded from the 10 other times we've seen stuff like this, that it's just like, oh yeah, that's good for you, Disney R&D, for getting a bunch of money and spending millions to build that. Thanks. On to the next thing. There it goes.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that, actually, what I'm hopeful for is that the lessons learned from Galactic Star Cruiser might roll into the parks with more sort of mission-based individual interactions, writing more characters into Batuu, and all of that fabric of entertainment and people that was supposed to be there on opening day that was mostly cut. Like, if you wander around, there's little stage areas, like that little area by the refreshers / restrooms was supposed to be like a droid repair show, right? And there's lots of places where you have interactions, and I think maybe it's slightly larger scale on a day-to-day basis than Star Cruiser, but maybe they learn some lessons there and how they can apply that in the parks. I hope it doesn't go away completely, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So that was the fun stuff. What are the vegetables we have to talk about? For
Oh,
Disneyland?
God.
Vegetables.
I'm just gonna, I want to give the mic to the listeners. Listeners, do y'all see the value going up the way that these prices are going up? Let's ask the viewers, let's ask the listeners. I'm gonna just speak for you. No. So the way that the prices have increased is just let's just talk about it. So the first thing is Magic Key prices over at the Disneyland Resort have increased from $50 to $150 per pass. So you have the Inspire Key going up for $1,500 or almost $1,600 to $1,649. Then you have the Believe Key at almost $12.49, $8.49 for Enchanted, $4.99 for Imagine. So the one that I see having the biggest jump is Enchanted as well as Believe. So those two keys have gone up. But guess what? The blockout dates are still the same. So you're kind of just paying a bit more for nothing.
Yeah,
Freaking
it,
nuts,
it
man.
it is a lot. Like it's, it was already, I have what the Believe, the second one down, and it was already what it took me what 8 visits basically to sort of break even.
Yeah.
And with the reservation system, that's wasn't as easy to do last year as I thought it was. I broke even. I think I went 9 or 10 times. So it was like, yes, it kind of made it worthwhile, but I also sort of forced myself to go that many times, you know, and
It makes it a chore.
It makes it a chore. It's such a chore to visit now. It's such a bummer. And like, we got Knott's passes because they were $99 for the year. And it's like, sure, there's not quite the amount of polish there. I'm not comparing them as experiences, but as like a thing to do out of the house with a bunch of friends. So few of my friends buy Disney passes anymore. And so it used to be like a group thing. We'd call people and go, hey, let's go. So I have one this year. I did renew. I'll have it till next August. But these increases in the time that multiple times that I've, tried to get dates and get them blacked out. Oh, here's a perfect example. I went to book Friday, November 17th, right? Which to me is innocuous. That's the Friday before Thanksgiving week. So you're not going to get a lot. In my head, I'm like, people might be traveling that day, but the park's not going to be that busy. And Saturday and Sunday were wide open still. But Friday had a cross and a line through it, not just the check through like a blackout date, but that it was gone and already. And every date around it, including the weekend, was not. And so I posted on Twitter, I'm like, what is going on? And somebody said it's probably the Christmas special, because the holiday special is usually filmed in the park like the week before Thanksgiving. So it airs over Thanksgiving. And so that would totally make sense. They would want to really control what the crowds are. And voila, there you have that artificial, throttle that they can do now, that they have complete, invisible control of things. So it just, all of these things tend to make it more of a chore than it used to be. I hate to be cranky old man, get off my lawn, but it's like back in my day,
No, I totally agree. I mean, I didn't renew this year, and it was purely based off of the fact that like everybody that I used to go with does not have passes anymore either. Like it's gotten so expensive where people are like, this is like it's either car insurance or a Disney pass. And it's like, I don't know. I think the government would prefer for me to have car insurance. So I just think that when it comes to how the parks have been and just how much of a hassle it's become and how much of a chore, it's not the same fun, spontaneous experience. And I get it. We're SoCal people, so we have a little bit of that entitlement, but at the same time, it's like it's what we were used to. Like I remember like getting out of class in college and like hitting up the girls and be like, all right, are we gonna go eat at Boardwalk and like study for tomorrow? Like that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean,
that sounds crazy, but that's what it is.
It really was. It used to be that Jason and I would drive down for dinner, or ride a ride, and go home. And it's like, technically you can still do that because you can just check what reservations are that day, but it's so expensive for the pass that Jason doesn't have one now. So he only gets tickets for big events when friends can come in from out of town. And we decided as a couple, well, you get yours because you go more and you can take people when they come in from out of town. He doesn't have to go as much. But even now, next year, I'm doing the math in my head going, I can do 6 trips, about 6 or 7 trips for the same amount of money. And if not more, and and I'm not going to have this monthly, payment around my neck, and I can get more friends to go because we can say, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday. Let's make a special day for him and all go. And it's like, that's what we used to use it for. But I think I'm going to have to sort of spin my brain and with my friends do the same. Like it's not all about passes, everybody having passes. Let's just say, when can you plan to afford $200? Because you're basically doing that already. You're just spreading it out over the length of the year, whereas it used to feel like, oh no, this is a steal, and it's not at all anymore.
It's really not. I think it's because the experiences have changed, the vibe has changed, and and prices have changed. It feels
Yeah.
like I'm not just paying because I feel like it was, yeah, like you said, it was a steal. Like you go in and it was a place that had decent priced food and decent priced experiences and times. But now it's like, damn, I go in and I'm spending like maybe $50 that day. Like, you know?
Well, and Max Pass was the sweet spot, right? Now that I got to pay, now that I got to pay $30 every time on top of my pass, that's just another check in the no column. You know what I mean? Like
That's the big thing is they've stripped things that used to be included out, and they're charging for those things and then charging extra more for less, and not in a like, oh, inflation, like it's dramatic increases. These are not 3 to 5% increases. This is, it's excessive.
It's up there.
It's up there. And you do get a pretty good discount on a lot of stuff. So there is like a little bit of math there. But overall, it's just, we just went for the first time since July. And I'm like, damn, how much, like I've been paying $150 a month.
Yeah.
To not go. I should have just not bought the pass, squirrel away that $150 a month. And then if I decided to go one time, I could just buy a fucking ticket.
That's exactly my mindset right now, is like, if hey, maybe if you want to go for something, you know what else? Also the nighttime events, which I used to be sort of against because I didn't want to spend over and above my pass for these things. But now, like, gay days is so crowded, I'm not going to go to it anymore. But I'll go to their Pride Night because all my friends who went said
that's
it was.
a really good point, because I'm dying to go to Jollywood Nights.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to justify paying $150 a month and then being like, okay, and now we're going to pay $500 for the three of us to go to a 4-hour event.
Yeah.
But if I had just,
do they let you in early?
You can go in early. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just stay in the park.
Oh, see, that's even better. You know, there's another weird side effect of the current passes for me, and that is the idea of going for a few hours or a half day is alien, because I have to squeeze every drop out of it, and we do 2 hours before opening to close on the last 3 visits, and I'm exhausted. Papa can't do this anymore at 53, and
especially with virtual queue, there's no spontaneity. If you want to go to the things that make it worth going, you've got to be planning that days in advance. You got to be up at 6:57, smashing that refresh button, and it's just not fun.
It's like they've taken the fun out of it. It's like there's no, like, maybe this is just me as a Virgo, but there's no reason I was sitting here making a spreadsheet to figure out what I was going to eat at Jollywood. Like,
that is very
that's ridiculous.
That's very you.
It's just, I think it's a nightmare. I think it's become just a for lack of a better term, like a clusterfuck. Like, there's just so much going on. There's so much that you need to get done. There's just not enough time in the day to like have a good time at Disney. And I think that for me, that's kind of like where I've been struggling, is there that lack of spontaneity, that lack of fun, that just free flow and vibe. Like, it's just not there.
No, and I actually think it's at a not a tipping point, but this is the first step towards they're going to need to change. And I'm not saying soon, but it's like, if fans like us are saying things like this, I'm definitely not renewing next year. There is just it's just not worth the money anymore. Yeah. So and I've had a pass every year I could, other than COVID, since I was like 17, 18, and the 2 years I lived in Orlando, and I had passes there that year. So it was like, this has been a constant in my life. And if I'm saying, it's not worth it, part of me is that because is it just me and my age? And I'm like, no, I'm a perennial 12-year-old. There's no way I wouldn't keep doing this. So, and the fact that we can get a Knott's, Universal, and Six Flags pass, all of them for the year, and SeaWorld for that matter, I can add that too. And it's like less than half of what I pay yearly for Disney. And again,
true.
And again, the thing that people say, oh, but it's, you can't compare them, it's a luxury product. I'm like, yes, you're right. The experience is different. It's not scratching the exact same itch, but it certainly is making the social component of it easier, because my friends can afford those passes.
Especially when you consider you only have a certain amount of weekends. And so like, as far as like, what is my weekend activity this week?
Yeah.
Disney is not in the running.
Yeah.
As like the obvious choice anymore.
So they're also going up in one day and multi-day tickets, aren't they, Sarah?
They are, and I feel like these are pretty insane in increases. Like Janine was saying, like these are not just like little percentages where it's like 3 to 5%. We're seeing 6, 7, not almost 9% on,
25.
and yeah,
11 to 12,
that's
11 to 12% for multi-day tickets.
it's pretty drastic. So the more intense ones are kind of obviously at the higher tiers where you start seeing that dramatic increase, like from tier 2 to tier 3. Tier 2 had like 3.8% increase, and then tier 3 had like a 6.9% increase.
Right.
So that just to me is insane. But the most insane one is tier 5, where it was $169 for the old price, and the new and improved, or honestly just new, is $184 of an increase. Or it's $184. So to have a 1-day Disneyland ticket, that's not even a park hopper. That's just a regular old ticket. For you to possibly be buying that ticket for $194, that's insane.
Yeah, for the day.
That's crazy. That keeps my family out of Disneyland. Like we're going and visiting my brother and we are not going to Disneyland.
Like, I understand when people go, yes, but tickets for a Broadway show and that's only 2 hours. Like, I understand that, but you're turning Disneyland into an event like that I do a lot less
Yeah.
of.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's
yeah,
a once
Broadway
every
tickets are
3
crazy.
years thing.
Right, sure. Like, I'll go see Taylor Swift once in my life, but they were $400 each, so I didn't get them this time. Thank God it's going to be in a movie theater. But like, you're telling me that for a family of 4 to go to Disneyland, you're comparing it to taking them to Taylor Swift once, which they're going to do maybe once a year, a concert like that. It's just,
Yeah.
it's
It
just
just
insane.
makes it completely exclusionary. It is just for
Yeah.
the ultra wealthy at this point. It's not even like upper
Yeah.
middle class can swing it, that's the thing about Disney is was like, okay, you can be like middle class, and if you do your priorities, Disney's a good value, and it's like the best thing that you can do for your family for the
Yeah.
money. And now it's like that's not available anymore. It's just for super rich people.
I mean, the first round of these obstacles and price hikes and the reservations, all the things we hated, we were all kind of like, well, let's see, and people threw money at it and did it anyway, right? The Disney's like, I see it works, and so that's why you're getting this now, because they're emboldened to. So I guess we have to just wait and see is the general public going to vote with their wallet? I think there is an echelon of Disney fans who will spend money no matter what, because it's the only thing they do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's fine. But Disney is literally then creating an audience of people that is an echo chamber that you're never going to really please. We know that they're those kind of fans, and yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of complex feelings about it, and it's the kind of thing we just have to sort of wait and see, And
It's
then
complete
lastly,
exploitation.
totally. But then
Yeah.
lastly, and insult to injury, Genie Plus goes up at Disneyland.
Yeah. This is I don't even want to really talk about, but we're gonna talk about it. So Disneyland now has their Genie Plus priced at $30 a day. That's it. And they also added Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway to Genie Plus, which I don't even really think it needed Genie Plus, to be honest with you, but
It had virtual
Disney's
queue,
gonna
but
It had virtual queue for like a week, and then like they got rid of it. But honestly,
because
the
it's
times
a
I've
people
gone,
eater.
it's been no
It
longer
is.
than 25 minutes.
But
It's a
hold
total
on,
people eater.
this is where it gets extreme. This is for me where it's like, Disney, y'all doing too much for me. The Little Mermaid. Why is the Little Mermaid like on what?
That was offensive because the problem with putting Genie Plus on rides like that, rides like Pirates, these rides that are absolute people eaters if you let them do their job correctly, is it not only artificially inflates the line. When the ride goes down, it's a huge problem, because when it comes back up again, you have a few thousand people ahead of the line that wouldn't have been there had you just emptied the queue and told people to come back. It's so dumb, and it's, to me, it's the kind of thing that is adding perceived value, but it is not actually adding value to people's visits at all. Those rides, if you took it out of that, it evens out. I've never had that ride be more than a 30-minute wait, maybe 40, maybe
That's even
maybe an hour on
crazy.
like July 4th, and that's crazy. But most weekends
Yeah.
it's 15 to 20 minutes, and now it's going to be a 45-minute wait if you don't have Genie Plus. Ugh.
It's ridiculous. Like I think $30 for Genie Plus is just like in less than a year, it's gone up about $10. And I
Yeah.
think for it to go up to almost 50%, like it's too much. Like it
It's
really is just
like
becoming too much.
thinking about going as a family of 3. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's $100.
Yeah.
So much.
That's
Yeah.
every time we go. Like we're supposed to, like, if we really, for the same experience we used to get for less
Right.
money before, we have to pay an extra
Right.
$100 every time.
And like when I factored into the 8 or 9, let's say 9 visits I need to do to make my current pass sort of break even, that adds $270
Yeah.
every year to that. And it's like, yes, I go with friends and people chip in, or I'll pay for parking and they'll buy me lunch, whatever. You work it out with friends. Sometimes other people drive and other people pay. Like it's fine in my situation, which is mostly social, but still almost $100 for over $100 for, my God, for a family of 4, just to do that is insane.
Just
Anyway.
as a person going in, it would probably just one individual say that they're trying to have like the best time at Disney for one day. They're probably
Yeah.
coming out like $500 less because you got to get the merch, you got to get the Genie Plus, you got to get the
Oof.
food, you got to pay for parking. Now in these
Yeah.
$200 tickets for one freaking park, like come on now, like it's just not.
Yeah.
No, it's a no.
It's unreasonable.
That's a no for me, dog.
Complete no.
Yeah. Well, let's move on, and let's move on to a different Disney park, and this is one that you recently visited, Saara. This would be Disneyland Resort Paris.
Yes. I know there's gonna be some haters. I know that Disneyland Paris is a polarizing subject, but I'm not gonna lie, I had a great time. I had a whole lot of fun. It was amazing weather. The cast members were fantastic. I was able to go on I think, yeah, I went on every single ride that I wanted to go on. Some I even went on twice. And it was truly the Disneyland experience that I have not gotten at home in a very, very long time.
And how much was
Wow.
Genie Plus?
Genie, I didn't even get Genie Plus.
Do
I
they
didn't
even
even
have
get
it?
Genie.
Do they have it?
They have a premiere
They did.
pass. They have like some, yeah.
It's like individual
Which-
lightning lanes, though, isn't it? Or no?
No, they have like a premiere pass where it's like they have that as well, but I think the option that more people are getting, it's the premiere pass where it's like you pay, I think, about like $100 or €100 extra, which is egregious. But you get to go on like every single ride with that premiere pass.
Yeah, Premier Access, it's called. Sure.
Yeah. So
Necessary.
it
And
is a lot.
That's a more traditional, like Universal Express style,
pass. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where you don't have
It's
to
like
book
you're
anything, you
literally-
just go. Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just go, so to me that makes more sense. Like
Yeah.
honestly, if Genie Plus was like that, I would understand that
I
price.
agree.
Because it's in line with other theme parks, and you can see the difference between the lot. Because I had DOS, so like I was able to bypass a lot of those, like a lot of the lines, and you could definitely see the difference in the wait time. So like the times were just like generally just like a lot lower than what you would see in other parks, because there wasn't a lot of people. Honestly, there was nobody in the Premier Access lines, like literally
wow.
no one. So it was I just think that the way that they went about that makes more sense. And I just feel like the French are they're not gonna give them more of their money. So it's great. I think it was just a great experience overall. However, here are some of the negatives that I felt when it came to Disneyland Paris. So for me, I just feel like as someone who was coming from the city center, like main central Paris, it was a freaking nightmare. What was supposed to be like this is my fault entirely. What was supposed to be a 30 to 45-minute train ride ended up 2.5 hours plus a €35 fine. And I was literally, no, the story is crazy. Like, okay, So I bought my ticket, right?
I know the story.
Yeah, I had to vent to somebody, y'all. I was literally crying. So I bought my ticket. And then I like go, so like, okay, I'm gonna get on the train, I'm doing my, city girl life, like I'm living it up. And then so like I get on the train. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just looking around. I'm like, wait, this is a whole lot of farmland. And I'm just looking and I'm just like, this does not seem right. And the thing is, with the station, you have to get off at a certain point because it separates, even though they don't tell you that, because it tells you that it's going straight to Disneyland Paris. And so I was on the entirely different train. So like I was literally I was in the countryside of France and I had no idea for like 30 minutes. And so then I got fined because this really mean officer came up to me and she was just like, oh, well, you're like, she was just like, where's your ticket? Where's your ticket? And I was just like, I have a ticket. Here you go. She's like, no, you're on the wrong train. And I was just like, oh, well, I have no idea where I am. I don't know where I am. And she was just like, I was like, can you help me? And she was just like not being helpful whatsoever. So she like literally had me open Apple Pay on my phone and tap on her card thing. And so I paid a $35 euro fine that I had no idea that I paid because I was on the wrong train. And once I got off of the train, I go and ask like her and her colleagues, and they're making fun of my accent. They were like, oh, what? And I was just like, yours. None of you guys given the mean girl behavior that they're stereotyping you guys for in the US.
God.
Like, you guys are such assholes. I was literally, and so before they could even answer, I literally turned around and I walked away because I was like, I am not about to cuss out a French police officer and get my ass arrested. Like, I don't know. I don't want to end up in the catacombs. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take it. And so I get back on the train. And then I get back on the other train and I once again did the same thing. I got off on the wrong station. So I had to go back. I had to have somebody walk me to Disneyland Paris because I could not do it anymore. Like I was literally having a whole crisis.
Oh.
And then goes to the park.
Oh,
But we made it. It's a learning experience. So then I got to the park and Walt Disney Studios, first of all, why is that park as big as my hand? It is so tiny.
it's
so small.
It's very tiny, and it was smaller. Like when it first opened, it wasn't even a half day. It was like 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
That park, it was ridiculous what that park opened with. So
it's extremely ridiculous. And what a trashy setup for Toy Story Land. What is that? Like, I'm just gonna be so honest. Like, what are we doing over there? It is so tiny. Like, it just was not. It was giving carnival. It was a fair ride experience. It was not cute whatsoever to me.
How about those temporary buildings over Main Street? Those like temporary structures. It's crazy.
It's just
they're like tents with they have like permanent facades, but the roofs are like temporary to keep costs down. Like the place was all done on the cheap.
And you can tell, but I would say that they're like the entrance into Walt Disney Studios, like it was pretty, like it was cool, like it was a really cool indoor entrance. Like I really thought it was beautiful, all the neon lights, but I feel like you can't really do neon wrong. So it was really cool.
Right.
But then like in terms of the rides, I would say that the rides were really fun. I really loved their version of Tower. It was pretty scary, but it was really great. And in terms of their Avengers Campus, it looks just like ours. Nothing really major. Their shows were, like we've said this before, their shows are in French, so I was just really just standing there, had no idea what was going on. had my Beware Our Guests in the Wild, which is such a cool experience to see.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. And then
how was Flight Force?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. So Flight Force was fun. Like it was very dark once you're like in the ride. Like there's not much to see. It's really, really dark. At least in like what is it called over at Hollywood Studios? It's missing me.
Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, Rock and Roller Coaster. So at least in Rock and Roller Coaster, like the music is great. It's a fun time. You're jamming. Like even if you don't really see much. But for Flight Force, nothing. There's there's like projections and stuff though, right? Or did you just not be able to see them really well? I didn't really see that. I didn't see anything that well in there. It was going so fast. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, like it just was not. But the Iron Man animatronic was just super, super cool. Yeah. I did find it a little bit jarring that he was speaking in French, and then you had this like Captain Marvel come on, and you're just like, she's like in English and being all cool, and then you have the French Iron Man.
That's That's a thing they do a lot at those parks, where two different
Yeah.
characters will back and forth in English and French. And what's happening is they're basically saying the same thing. But one person asks a question, the second one reminds themselves of the question and answers it in French, and then the English speaker says, "Oh, there's your answer," and says it again. So it's like it's a way to get the stuff across to everybody. When it's done well, it's actually really clever, but it can be a little clunky too.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It was just like like I said, it was just, again, the American exceptionalism peeking through. But but it was overall just a really good, it was fun. But what I found to be very interesting in the park overall was just like the vibe of the park. It didn't have that same feel of Disney fans. It was just people that were coming because it was right there next to Paris, or it was just other, like, a lot of people, a lot of British people, because obviously it was the park that was closest to them, but it still did not have that fan feel. There wasn't really excitement, that general excitement that you feel within the park. I just didn't really feel that. And it was just,
they have
a little different.
They have a very different fandom. It's not the same fandom as here or Japan at all.
No.
There are some diehard fans there. It's just not quite as widespread.
Yeah, no, like, it really wasn't. And even like people, like, I didn't see a bunch of people wearing the merch. Like, it just was not that much. So it's like little differences that you start to notice, but it wasn't like insane. But moving on to the proper Disneyland Paris park, it was beautiful as a park. I loved Adventureland and Frontierland. I thought that they were just so great. I loved the kind of like Skull Island area next to Pirates of the Caribbean. There were so many little caverns there that you can kind of like peek in through, and it was just, the feel of that area was just very, very fun. And then the Swiss family, the Robinson family treehouse or whatever that they had there, was also just really great. So what I really loved about the park was that there were so many nooks and crannies that you can kind of just like get into and like peek through, and like a lot of different things that you could see that I feel like we don't really have anymore because of the crowds, and everything is now either a ride or like a food experience or something. But it just, like, having a lot more of those like experiences that you could just like walk through, I think it was really great and just really fun. Their Pirates was really cool as well, because they have the extra drop, but it was like a little mini drop. It wasn't that insane.
Well, and it's like an explosion that sends you down it too, which is kind of great.
Yeah. And then their Phantom Manor, I believe it's called, like their Haunted Mansion thing. It was just, oh my God, I was scared for my life, you guys. Like, that Haunted Mansion is scary.
It's
like,
creepy. It's very creepy.
It's very creepy. And they have like the bride is the main focus in this version. So it's like her kind of popping up here and there. You're just like, oh my God, like, I was already scared of her over there. So she was just great. And
I love the ending where you go underground in the Western town. You see all the cowboy skeletons. It's really weird.
Yes.
And the third act of that one is just bonkers.
It's very, very weird. And what's his name? It's like their version of the Hatbox Ghost. Like,
I think he's just Le Fantôme, I think is his name.
Yeah, something like that. But he's like, when you're when the ride is almost ending, like there's like you said, the cowboy section, he's at the end of it, and he's just sitting there like maniacally laughing, and it is so creepy. It's insanely creepy. Like, somebody go watch
it to fit into Frontier. It's to get into it fits in Frontierland better that way,
I did notice that there was a lot of love put into that section of the park, like the whole cowboy section of Frontierland. Like, there was a whole lot put into there. But I would say my overall favorite part of the like entire park was definitely Tomorrowland, or Discoveryland, or whatever they call it.
Discoveryland. Yeah.
It was just it was just stunning. Like, I love it. Like, I love the whole steampunk theme. I thought it was just very beautiful. Their Hyperspace Mountain, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Like, it was just so great. Like, I wanted to ride it again, but it broke down, obviously. Typical. But it was just really, really fun. And they also had Halloween decorations up, and their Halloween parade was just really cute and just so much fun. If you guys want to see that, it's on Twitter. It was just a great.
Did you do Big Thunder?
I did do Big Thunder. My favorite ride. I loved Big Thunder. It was just that little, when you go under the water, amazing, so cool.
It's cool.
I did it during the day, and I did it at nighttime.
All on an island.
And it's so different, and so it's like the same but different. I would honestly say it's better than ours. And I know that's like
Hot,
sacrilegious, but it was
yes.
great.
No, no, I 100% agree with you. And my hot take is, it as far as the environments and the organization of the lands and the character of all the lands, it is the superior castle park of all the Disney castle parks. It is my
I
favorite of the
mhm.
castle parks.
I would agree. I think it was just a lot more fun. Like there was just so much more to see, and like you said, the organization just made sense. Like it was just a great time.
I actually think also that like when you the original to me, the original Disneyland is so charming because it was the
Hmm.
first one and its scale is charming. And then when they went to Florida, it all got really big. Like Main Street is not
Yeah,
dollhouse scale anymore. It's all real size. It's all
yeah.
very impressive, but it's really big. To me, Paris, Disney Paris felt like a pendulum swing to correct back towards charm, right? Because European fairy tales are where all of this stuff started. So it feels to me like they made a conscious effort to make it not too big and feel and have that sort of charm element that Disneyland has. It's really lovely.
I totally agree. It's like a happy medium, and just the how beautiful the park looks during the daytime is just all the flowers, the entrance, had that big pink hotel in the very front, like as you're
Yeah.
walking in. It's beautiful, and the fountains, like it's a truly beautiful park. And I just wish that there was maybe like a little bit more effort and a little bit more put into it as the years have gone on, but I think it could have been something like truly like amazing and great, and would have definitely been on the caliber of something like Disneyland Tokyo or Tokyo Disney.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Disney was not majority owner, remember, and they bought it all.
Hmm.
They bought it back, what, 8-10 years ago. So the big expansions you're seeing of the studio, the Adventures Campus, all those are the first baby steps towards, Disney deciding that they need to spend more money on the place, because the original ownership was really, really very conservative, basically. And you're right, that's the criticism it got for years, was like, why no new stuff? The wear and tear was and maintenance wasn't great. But last time I went was 2017, and it was looking pretty
Hmm.
good. It is a fun park, and it's one that fans, I think, North American fans, not so much overlook, but it's overshadowed by
Yeah.
Tokyo. Like their dream park, their white whale is, oh my God, I want to go to Tokyo Disneyland someday. And and a lot of times I say, no, do Paris first. Do Paris before you do Tokyo. And as a matter of fact, do Hong Kong before you do Tokyo. Because
Mm.
those two are really very different than the US castle parks, but are very singular and unique in their own way.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And I think my overall favorite thing at Disneyland Paris was the Mickey and the Magician show. I had such a great time. It was so much fun, and the magic was just so great. I really just couldn't have asked for like a better show, and the food was just fantastic, amazing. Disneyland Paris, I know, like I said, it's crazy, it's polarizing, but I loved it. I had a
No,
great, and I'm a hater. I
I
am a
don't.
hater. I talk shit. So like if I like something, it's good. So it was
Yeah,
just
I don't.
amazing.
I don't think it's polarizing at all. And it's like, I'm not saying it's my favorite Disney park. But I think when I look at the castle parks together and what a Disney castle park means in terms of its organization and the overall aspiration of the castle in the middle of the park, and what that represents emotionally in the story, and what each of the lands
Mhm.
represent around that, um, easily my favorite one is Paris, and my second favorite one is actually not even Disneyland, it's Shanghai, and then Disneyland California, just
Ooh,
because it's the original.
okay.
Yeah, I know, hot take, but it's like Disney Shanghai does the weird hat trick of, it's as big and huge and a people eater like Florida's Magic Kingdom, but it manages to be interesting and charming and weird in the way that Disney Paris is, because it's not slavish to the original Disneyland or the original Magic Kingdom. Anyway, I'm so glad you
Interesting.
went. I'm so glad you went. It is such a lovely park. Now we got to get you back to Europe to see Efteling. That's your next homework, is
Okay.
in the Netherlands, to go to Efteling. It's like my favorite, outside the US. It's my favorite non-Disney, non-Universal park. It's absolutely weird and awesome and charming and very European, and cool.
I
Uh,
don't even know how to spell that, Dave. I'm gonna be so frozen. I was trying to look it up. I couldn't even spell.
Efteling, EFTEL. Efteling, Efteling, Efteling.
Yeah. I was just asking that for the fans so that they could look it up later. Like, I totally
Look it
believe
up.
that. So
Go look it up. It is a weird and wonderful park. It's all based on European folk tales and fairy tales, but they're the Dutch versions, which are a little bit different than the ones we know. So they're a little weirder. They're a little hornier. It's it's a very weird park, but lovely too, like really beautiful. Anyway, speaking of beautiful parks, not to toot my own horn, not to toot
Dave,
my own
you better
horn.
toot.
Toot,
Dave,
toot.
like that was. I'm telling you, oh my God. Let's just clap for Dave for a second because this park, Dave, like I'm not even just blowing smoke up your ass. Like it is truly, I had the time of my motherfucking life. Like it was
Yay.
amazing. It was amazing.
I like what you said. I liked what you said. Saara was texting us, texting me at like, it was like 1 a.m. and I still happened to be up. So we were texting back and forth and I was telling her where to go and what to do. And everybody else woke up to like 40 or 50 text messages.
No, Victoria said it was
137.
It was like
137.
3:30 in the morning for me, and my phone is lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Do y'all not go on Do Not Disturb like Victoria?
Do not
Because
disturb
Victoria
mode,
knows-
y'all.
Not on the weekends.
Oh, my phone is always on Do Not Disturb. I do not like people.
I know. I gotta hit Victoria with the send anyway sometimes. Like,
Yeah, right.
you-
I loved what you said in that text. You said something like Dave totally ate when it came to this park, and I'm like,
No,
yay! I'm one of the cool
did.
kids now. I ate.
No, I'm telling you, Dave put his whole foot in that park. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, I was literally like, okay, I was born in the city, right? But like me leaving and Dave coming in made it 10 times better. Like, I really thought that the fans were gonna be upset that I was gone, but like Dave really just I'm just kidding.
Well, and on behalf of the hundreds of thousands and thousands of people that I worked with on, thank you very much, because it's one of those things where not a lot of my non-industry friends have gone to see it. It's not close to here, and so I've had a handful of people go, and it just makes me very happy to hear what they have to say. So, what do you think?
Like I said, I thought it was amazing. It was fantastic. Like it was such a great and fun time. Like it felt like my childhood because I didn't necessarily grow up with Disney. I grew up with Warner Brothers. So like I remember like staying up and Dave, you probably know this channel, like NBC3, like I was literally on that 24/7. Like I was watching Space Tune. Like, you know, I remember 12, like as soon as midnight would hit, you would get that weird black hole vibe. I don't know what was going on with that, but it would like mean that you had to go to sleep. But right before that, I remember it was like marathons of Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, like like everything. And it was just so much fun being back in that world. It just brought back so many memories. And I literally was like tearing up. Like it was such a fun experience. Oh my gosh,
I can only imagine, Saara, because I think back to the Warner Brothers stores that used to be around and how they had the little like tube thing that kids could go in and push buttons, and you'd push like Marvin the Martian and he would be like, it's an interplanetary room. Like I would weep to get to see that right now.
Yeah.
And so to like go to a whole park would be gobsmacking.
Well, I mean, just from a design standpoint, myself and the entire team, like we grew up with the same way that you guys did, and so because Warner Brothers had never done a fully immersive park before, you know, they'd done stuff at the Six Flags parks, but they'd never done something sort of this level and scope and budget. And the other thing is, we were freed from the constraints of this has to be a park about movies and movie production and the history of the studio, because that means nothing to anybody over there. The whole, you know, studio lot and water tower and behind the scenes, nobody cares. So it sort of freed us up to do the things that made us happy as kids. So that park was entirely, you know, there are so many in-jokes, and not to us, but I mean to the brands, and in-jokes and Easter eggs, because we wanted stuff that would make us laugh, you know. What was your favorite land? Let's start there.
Oh, I would definitely say Cartoon Junction for me. That was my favorite land. Because it had Tom and Jerry, it had Annie Mayhem, Scooby-Doo. I literally have my notes app. Like I was as like I was live, like I was live texting you guys, I was writing in the notes app. For me, Tom and Jerry Swiss cheese, like it was the Swiss cheese spin. The design of that ride, even though it's like it's very simple in concept if you think about it, but because it was just like a cat and mouse. Obviously, it's a cat and mouse ride. So it was just like going down the thing, but it was just like having it spit, like you're in these like cheese blocks. That's what you're in essentially, like these cheese block cars, and you're spinning around as you're going down the coaster, and it's just so much fun, and the music
It's
is so much
basically
fun.
it's basically the same ride vehicles as like Primeval Whirl. Basically, it was
Yeah,
it's a spinning
yeah,
coaster, but they look like big wheels of cheese, which was a lot of fun to design. The
big
queue
wheels of
is my
cheese with
favorite part of that one.
olives on it.
The queue
Yes,
is
and the
so
queue,
cool.
The
the
olives
queue
are the
is so
headrests
cool.
behind you. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
The queue was just like super because it looks like it was literally just like straight out of the cartoons where like Tom and Jerry are running through the house and everything is in chaos. Where you have, I don't even know how you guys did that table where it's like it looks like it's literally almost fall. It looks like it's in motion. The house looks in motion, but it's still, and it did not make sense to me. And it was just like so cool, just like seeing like I don't know. It just I felt like I was in the cartoons again, and I was like,
and then
"Where's Tom? Like, where's Jerry? Like, where are they at?" You
and then
know?
then you walk into the pantry of the kitchen, and we do this trick where the slats, the lathe of the drywall, like you go
Hmm.
through a hole, and it's all at human scale, but it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So all of a sudden you're at
Yeah.
Jerry scale, and everything inside the walls is like his home and his little workshop, and he's making these plans to steal the cheese and take it all upstairs to the attic to his cheese bank, and that's the theme of the coaster. But
And it's crazy because I still remember his home. Like I remember the exact cartoon that it was
yeah,
out of, and it was like straight out of that. Like
yeah,
it was just super, super cool. But and moving on to Scooby-Doo Museum of Mysteries, that was such a fun ride. It literally felt like you said, like it was a mini episode. It wasn't even a mini, it was a pretty decent like length ride. And I feel like the one thing for me, it was a trackless. I did think it was really cool that there was a lot of trackless rides. But the one thing for me was that I felt like I wish that the animatronics had a bit more movement. But again,
yeah.
it
They're
was
simple.
still they're very but they look great. So it's like I can't even complain about that. And then Any Mayhem was I know Dave, that's your favorite, and it was just amazing. It was the best shooting arcade ride that I've ever been on. I literally almost dropped my phone because I'm so excited. It was I hate okay, like, I do not like Toy Story Mania. I think it's a whole lot of work. It's not fun. I don't see the laser. I never win. I'm always a loser. So like that's why I don't like it. But when it came to Anime Mayhem, like it was so interactive. Like you could like if you like shoot one little thing, it would like pop up out of nowhere and it would just like be something. I don't want to spoil the ride or anything. That's why I'm being very vague. But it was just like so cool how interactive and how like there was so many little details that you would have to ride the ride multiple times in order for you to like get
Yeah,
every
that was the
single little
goal.
thing.
That was the goal, to just
Yeah,
pack it so dense. How did the projections look?
they looked great. I think
Okay,
they
good,
looked really good.
good.
Um,
Okay.
so because the projections that's for the I would say in Gotham City were not my they could be better. But like
Oh,
in
in
Cartoon Junction,
Batman Night Flight.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You knew exactly what I was talking about. So it's just like
yeah,
there it could have been great. But just
yeah.
Anime Ham was so much the queue, my favorite queue. So many inside jokes, so much fun. The entrance inside, like I love the 50s like TV kind of like
Yeah.
vibe of it all. It was just super
So you know
fun.
how we got to that. There's a great story about this. Like it's easy to say, okay, you're gonna make a cartoon town, right? Okay, but how
Hmm.
the discipline of design is like, how do you get to that town, right? And when you look at all the cartoons, because we had to mash up Looney Tunes, but also Hanna-Barbera and also
Hmm.
Tom and Jerry, and which are all from
Yeah.
different, basically different eras and things. So Cartoon Junction is actually like this Route 66 road that goes through multiple towns, and the small town it starts in is where all the Looney Tunes got their start. And so there's a vaudeville theater called the Bugs and Daffy Theater, and that's where they started their vaudeville show, and there's an interactive
Hmm.
character show there. And we thought, well, so as the town grew, like the stores were Elmer Fudd as a hardware store, right? But if you look at the Scooby Mansion in the corner, the Scooby Mansion is like the old spooky house on the side of town. We said
Yeah.
that was like the rail baron who like established the town initially, and right, and then it
Mm.
grew and became this this sort of suburban town, and then it becomes an industry town. Like, what big industry planted there? Of course, Acme, right? So there becomes this factory off on the side of town, and this whole complex there, which is where Animahem is. So there's a design logic to why that town exists. It's not just funny cartoon buildings, you know. And then Animahem in particular, like on one side of the Acme campus is the big brick, factory building warehouse that you've seen in like Roger Rabbit and everything, right? And it's filled with spinny rides. That's like our kids area. It's like play equipment and smaller rides. But we said, well, Acme probably got to a point where it really exploded when they started making, rocket skates and anvils and shipping them all over the world. So they would have had an R&D department. So the Animahem ride you went on is like the R&D department across the way, like the newer building. It looks like a 1950s building, not a 1930s brick, factory. And the inside of that, we asked Warner Brothers, do you have any reference from any of the cartoons or anything about the business of Acme? And they don't, other than the products and the label. Like, Acme as a place was always kind of secret. And they said, okay, come up with an idea for what that looks like. And so the team sort of put our heads together, and we came up with what we called Looney Tunes plus Mad Men. Right?
That's a perfect description.
So the lobby of that is all Looney Tunes plus Mad Men. My favorite is, did you notice that there's a bunch of shelves that are awards, and they're all empty, and they've got like cobwebs on it? There's like 2 of them on there. Yeah. And so what's great about all that, Warner Brothers loved all the stuff we came up with. We made a timeline of Acme history, and it's all got jokes in it. We came up with department names, all this funny stuff. All of that stuff is now technically canon because they really, really loved it.
That's so cool.
So it's a feather in our cap for the whole team to be like, we created a part of Looney Tunes history that's going to matter, right? That it never existed before. So it makes me happy that you liked it.
It was a great time. Like, I know I keep using the words amazing, fun, and cool, but like, that's literally it was just that's literally all I can say. And it was just really cool. Like the things that you sent me, it made it kind of fun. It was like a little scavenger hunt. I was like, oh, I gotta go on this ride all over again just to like find the thing that he was talking about. And it made it that much more like just like a really fun experience.
There were 3 things. I kept sending her photos of things to go look at. One of them was along the Cartoon Junction main street, where it's Fudd Hardware, Daffy Snacks, which is like a candy store, and then the hair salon, HARE. And they're all just shops, but it's decorated to look like a beauty salon. So it's all these 1950s hair dryers and the kind you sit in and put over your head and stuff. But they're not actual props. They're all sculpted cartoon props. Like, we made everything there. And we decided there's a big window display there. And we said, well, let's make this basically all of Bugs's wigs. And so it's kind of, if you think about it, we never really put it this way, but after it opened, I thought about it. I went, wait a minute, we put a drag reference at a park in the Middle East. So you're welcome.
Yes. You guys were amazing for that. Like, it just, for me, what was so like cool to see, because I feel like this is something that I have not seen in a very long time out of theme parks, is all those little references, all those little details. Like the quality, Dave, like of the park was just so great. Like, it was such a, like, everything, honestly, if you, like you're saying you left it, I don't know, like 2018, 2019, it probably looks the exact same as when you opened it that day.
That makes me happy. That makes me happy.
It's literally no chips. The paint looks brand new. Everything is shiny, sparkling, and clean. Like,
that's what happens with an indoor park, right? You don't get the same wear and tear as I also sent her photos of
clean.
I sent her photos of a prop case in the Scooby Queue, because my husband Jason came over for the last week before it opened and for opening day. And I said, bring something that we could put somewhere in one of the queues. And he said, which one? I said, well, Scooby's the most eclectic because it's like this museum of mysteries. And he brought this really cool mask that I think was from Mexico that his parents gave him back in like the 70s. That was, and then like an old camera, the kind of that you look down in the top of, like an old Brownie camera that I had that I was like my dad's. And I just put it on a shelf because it was a fun looking prop, but it'd been in our home for 20 years. And so he brought both of those, and I took a picture of both of us and printed it and put it inside the camera. And on the back of the mask, I wrote DC plus JH, Dave Cobb plus Jason Averitt, in a little heart on the back of the mask. And we put it inside that prop cabinet. So no one can see it, but it's like the thing that we can say, there's a little piece of us in there that, that you don't get to do that a lot in parks. And we fortunately had leeway to do that. The other one that I love is, I told you about in Gotham, there's a building that's got a gargoyle broken off. Like the head, there's gargoyles on one of the buildings, there's a bunch of gargoyles on it, and one of the heads is broken off. Well, if across the street from that is the exit retail shop for the Batman ride, which is called the Park Row Pawn Shop. So it's a pawn shop, and it's like the story of the pawn shop is like all the decorations on the walls, the non-purchasable stuff that decorates the store, is stuff that the pawn shop owner found around the streets and alleys of Gotham. So it's like Riddler's cane, a bunch of batarangs, some Joker bombs, like things he's found after battles have concluded. He puts them here down to sell. And one of the things for sale is a gargoyle head. And it's the one that broke off from across the street. So it's like there are little Easter eggs there that are not obvious, but if you look for them, we tried to make sure that the environments made sense and tied together.
It's definitely not a one-day park. Like, you got to go time and time and time again to get every single. Yeah,
they do great season pass business there. By the way, they do great season pass business there.
Yeah, it was just there's so much to see, and like I said, you basically created a scavenger hunt for me. Like, I could have been there forever if you would have said more. And it was just
Janine, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, like when I finally woke up at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning because I was doing a yard sale. I had like 127 unread text messages from you guys.
Girl, I'm sorry.
And I sat there and I read them, and I was like jamming my elbow into my fiance and was like, look, the gargoyle, look, the gargoyle's head is in the pawn shop. And he's like, what the fuck is she talking about? But I was just like ecstatic. I was ecstatic. I got like no sleep. It was way too early, but it was like the best hit of dopamine to be like, Dave was just like sending her all these like Easter eggs, like, hey, go find this. And then she'd find it, and I'd it was just a delight to wake up to.
So one of the other things there is, one of my other favorite little details is there's a store on the Route 66, cartoon Route 66, that goes through what's called Dynamite Gulch, which is where Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, you went on the fun little Fast and Furious roller coaster, which people think we're joking about Universal. That's not true. We're joking about the first name of the very first Wile E. Coyote cartoon is called Fast and Furious.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not a Universal joke. It's a Looney Tunes joke. And that's got an onboard soundtrack that's all custom. It makes it really fun. But across the street from that is a gift shop, and it's Yosemite Sam's. It's Yosemite Sam's service station. So it's an old tin roof building, and it's all rusted, and it's called Yosemite Sam's Rootin' Tootin' Gas. So I got a fart joke in the park too, which makes me very happy. It's covered in like tin signs of like oil and gas and tires, but we can't use real ones. So we made them all up to be in the Acme world. So we had a design meeting where we were all coming up with ideas, and it's like, Acme oil and one of them, a couple of them are named after like Yosemite Sam's cursing. One of them is like dang flapping coolant, stuff like that. And somebody blurted out in the design meeting, hey, wouldn't it be fun if he had like a neon sign that he stole from another service station that closed down the road, or just stole outright? I said, yeah, that's funny. And then somebody said, yeah, like the mobile Pegasus. And a light bulb went off in my head. There is a very famous horse in Looney Tunes. She's the big fat pony that Bugs rides in on during What's Opera Doc, and it's based on grain from Norse mythology. It's what Valkyrie rides in on, and she's this delightful chubby pony. And so I said to one of my art directors, I'm like, oh, can you draw her, but as a Pegasus, like put wings on her, but tiny little wings on her back, and make it a neon sign, like the mobile sign. And he sketched it up and came back to me a few hours later. And I went, that's it. There's our neon sign. And so we put it in. And it's like, it's not in the cartoon world, but it's inspired by it. And so what happened was when I came home from the park, I'm like, I need a tattoo. I need a tattoo to commemorate. I worked in that park for 10 years and I need something on my body to commemorate it, but I don't want to be a walking billboard for the Warner Brothers company. I don't want Bugs Bunny or Batman or something dumb like that. And so I went, oh my God, I'm going to have that fat pony neon sign, and he's on my leg. She is on my leg. I'll post it in response to this week's episode on Twitter. But it's a memorable piece of artwork because it was a perfect example of how collaborative these projects are. Right, there was a group of us in a room. We're all brilliant designers. We're all Looney Tunes fans, and we're sort of digging deep to make fun details to fill out the reality of this place. And it happens so organically, and it's one of the funniest, stupidest little details in the park.
It's beautiful though. The neon sign. It's
great, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's so many, like I said, there's so many details, so many different things that you can see. And I wish that I would have, I don't know, like I wish that I would have spent more time or like maybe gone another day because it's there, you could just feel like, yeah, like you could just feel like the labor of like all the love that you guys put into the part. Like, you could really see it. And I think it's just like someone who like really loves just like Warner Brothers in general. Like I'm so glad that these characters and these cartoons that we all grew up with are getting put on display in this way and are really loved by the people. Like Dave, the people that are visiting the park, like they all have such a great time. Like they come out of the rides like these kids are so happy. Like this park is like, it's truly for everybody, like literally for everybody. Like little kids are happy. Like it's so much fun. And I just had such a great time like geeking out with you like while we were I'm sorry that I kept you up all night, but
sorry not sorry.
Like no, really, because you literally gave me you basically gave me a tour. Like you gave me like a really like special access into like into something that I would have never really been able to do. And like I just loved all the details. The restaurants were so cute. Like the stores
the food's
were so
pretty
cute.
great too. The food
is really good. Like speaking of Impossible Burgers, I had an Impossible Burger and it was fantastic. Like it was an Impossible Truffle Burger, which hello truffle fries in a theme park. Like that's great. But yeah, super fun, super great. And if you guys want to see like the full list of ratings that I had, it'll also be posted under this week's episode. And it was just really cool recreating the photos that he sent over. So I'll post those under there too.
You know, it's funny. I have a giant album of photos that I took there. I've never posted them all. It was one of those things where I got home and I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. I'll post something. And then even over COVID, I'm like, I should sit down and edit through those photos. And nothing. I will probably get to like an album of 300 or 400 photos at a certain point. But you know what? At this point, I'll wait for the next anniversary. We just had our 5th anniversary, so I'll wait till 10. But I love that you mentioned how much the guests love it, because that's one of the things that you never, in a foreign park, you never really know what people's connections are to the brands. The one they know the least about is the Flintstones, but it still rates very high. They still love it. The highest rated IP that went into the park was actually Tom and Jerry. And when I found that out, it was because it made such sense. They're like, first of all, it's been on TV and syndication in every city in the world since the 50s, and it doesn't require translation because there's no talking in it, right? Yeah. So it works wherever it plays. And I have a great story about that ride. I was standing outside while I was still there, and we're doing sort of touch up and programming and punch list stuff. And people are in the park, and Tom and Jerry, the costume characters, are out in front of the ride taking pictures. So there's a line of people, and there's these 2 guys that are probably your age, who they were just chumming along, waiting to get a picture, and they're watching other people get their picture taken with Tom and Jerry, who were like posing and being all friendly, and they look at each other and they're like, "Wait a minute, why are they friends? They should not be friends." And I hear him, and I go, "Oh my God, he's right." And I pull over the character manager, and I said, "When's their next break?" And he said, "Like 10 minutes." I said, "Okay, meet me backstage." So we go backstage. Performers take their heads off, and we talk about it. And I said, "This is what the guy said," and they both sort of smacked their forehead, going, "Of course. Hang on, we'll work up some business." And so they did. And when they went back into the park, they were frenemies. They were like, back to back, arms crossed, looking at each other like harumph, and like pushing each other and trying to push others out of the way to get a better picture with a kid. And those guys were like the first group to get that treatment.
Oh, nice.
And you could see them
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, this is what we want. And it was like, that's, those are the kind of things that you can't do until you start seeing the guests interact with stuff. Because, and I've said this before, there's a part in all of these projects when it's not yours anymore, right? And that was then, and it's rough. It's not easy to do, but you go from being the most important person in the building to being the security guards going, wait, who are you? Do you still have your badge? And you get over it. But my favorite, for me, it's not that. It's the emotional moment of watching a guest own it. And the moment happened pretty soon for me. And that was on my very last day. I'm literally walking around the park one last time before I go to the airport. And I see this group of ladies, and they're all probably in their 20s, maybe early 30s. And because it's Abu Dhabi, it's like every culture and language spoken amongst these probably 20 or 30 girls, some Emiratis and some from elsewhere, and some of them were in full abaya and headscarf and all of that, but they all of them had bunny ears on, had Bugs Bunny ears, because we sell them in the park like Mickey ears, and they had them on like literally over their abaya, which was the most charming thing ever. And they're all taking selfies because they had just bought them. And so they're all taking selfies and laughing and having a great time. And I said, can I get a photo of you? And they said, sure. And they hand me their phone, and I take a photo, and they cheese, and they do the selfie thing. And I hand the phone back. And when I do, I say, I really, really love your ears. They're really adorable. And this lady looks at me like almost with tears in her eyes. And she goes, they make me so happy. And I start crying, and I walk away like, it's not mine anymore.
They're like, what was that about?
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. I probably freaked them out a little because I was like, you're welcome, we'll see you later. And I walk away. But that's the moment where you realize, right, this is so not mine, and nor should it be, right? This is theirs now. And that's a blessing for me to get those moments. I don't get those all the time. And for it to happen literally on my last day at the airport was just poetic and lovely. And I love that people there love it. That was the goal, right? This is not, my friends go, why haven't we seen ads for this in the US? And it's like, well, it's not for you. It's for this tourist area that they've built that is a 2 to 4 hour flight from millions and millions of populace, and in the Muslim speaking world and Europe and Southeast Asia, and it's for them, and it's so it makes me happy that it's found an audience there, and that you recognize that. And what we'll also post as well, you mentioned like the riding through the rides. I'll post a link to my YouTube page because I have been collecting videos that I find online, and shout out to, by the way, Attractions 360, which is a great YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They did coverage of basically opening week and recorded everything in really, really high def 4K. And there's some really good ride throughs of all the ride that'll give you a sense of all of them. So yay.
But if you
I'm so
can
glad.
try to visit, yeah, like if anybody has ever thought of wanting to visit, like please do. Like it's such a great time, and it's such a fun experience, and you'll really just Yas Island in general. I think it's really on the up and up, and it just looks great.
That's the location it's based on, by the way. It's called Yas,
yeah.
YAS, which all of my art directors and I were like, Yas Island.
Yes. I don't even know why it's called Yas Island, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But Dave, I just kind of like closing everything out. This was such a full circle moment because I can't believe that almost 2 years ago we met here at this podcast, and you had been, and I'd never met anybody that had been to Abu Dhabi, let alone lived there. So like to have met you and to know that you lived there and to have you create this amazing place that was such like a great tribute to like my childhood here and all the things that I was able to experience. It just, I literally walked in and like almost started crying because it was just like it's such a full circle moment, and I'm so glad that I was able to meet you, and I could only like hope that I'm able to maybe do 1/10 of what you have done in your career so far, because what you have done is just, I love you guys. You guys are so fantastic, so talented, so amazing.
I love
you
you
guys. Great.
I love you guys. And, that was a career defining project. Absolutely. And not just for me, but for all of my colleagues. Cause I was just really blessed to have an unbelievably talented team. And to give you an idea, like this was not Disney Universal style production. We didn't have that kind of money for the team, right? They spend a lot of money on the park, but if this park had been built in the US or Europe, it would have cost 3 times as much, right? And we built, as far as the ThinkWell team, as far as the creative team, basically the Imagineers, if you want to, not the companies that build it, not the construction, but the concept and creative development. We designed and built this entire park with the size of the team size that Universal or Disney would have on one attraction. Like
Wow.
it was a skeleton crew putting this park together. So there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in there. But we were, it's how you work when you work in theater. You get to that point in the last stretch where everybody's like running on no sleep and coffee and cigarettes, but you still want it to be good because you're there and you can see it and smell it and taste it and feel it. And so this was probably the most dedicated team I had ever worked with. Lots of young talent, lots of people who had worked on site for the first time. And it's such a small team that everybody wore a zillion hats, and we all had to like think fast, rabbit, and come up with solutions for things. And the fact that it shows still makes me deliriously happy. And if people wonder, yeah, it's a long flight to get to Abu Dhabi, but it's not expensive. Like if you want to go to Yas Island for a week and see this park and SeaWorld and Waterworld, which is the water park, and Ferrari Park, and see the beaches and stay at one of the cool hotels, it's not very expensive. It's actually not at all.
It's really not. And you'll get a bit, let me just tell you, you'll get a much better experience of what you're getting at the Disney parks right now. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
I think so. I think you're right.
It really is.
I think you're right.
I kid you not. Like I had I tweeted about this, but there was this ride operator. The ride operators there, oh my God, they're so fine. They're so cute. They're so hot. Like if you just want to go there alone, just for that. Like I went on a ride 3 times just to see the same ride operator. Man, still not that. They kept flirting with me, but still never gave me his number. If you're listening to this, sir, Abdullah, I know your name. Sir. You better send me the number. Send me your number. But anyways.
Yeah, there were a lot of fine dudes there. Walking around there was a lot of fun.
So fun. But anyways, that's, I'm just saying that was a plus for me alone.
Awesome. Well, I'm tickled you went, and then we're going to hear more from you because you're going to SeaWorld Abu Dhabi as well.
Yes. Yes.
So we'll hear about that next time. Cool. Cool. All right. So now we're on to the Disney park industry stuff. The first one, Disney issues a subpoena for former Reedy Creek Administrator John Klass in a lawsuit with DeSantis's oversight district. So this is a little bit of Disney lashing back again. Yes. What is this? So this is a case. This is the ethics. This is they want a replacement for this guy, right? Is that what this is about, Janine? If you remember. He was removed as the administrator. And
they hired some other guy who was like an ethics commission chair, and then the ethics commission was like, you cannot do both. You've got to give up one of these. And he gave up being ethics commission chair. I guess he was like given a 1-year contract to serve as special advisor to the district, but then they just booted him out. I don't know what kind of package he got or if they're whatever. But they're asking for a ton of stuff.
Yeah, they're asking for documents. Basically, they want the receipts from the time when he was working there. Yeah, and so Disney's basically like, show us the receipts for all this, and it's a lot. It's all this stuff they developed during 2022 and 2023 when DeSantis was sort of after them. So now they're saying basically it's a witch hunt, and it's a it's a fishing expedition, and it's tantamount to harassment.
Oh,
blah blah blah. I mean, fuck off, whatever. Disney can still, Disney's doing what Disney does, which is like, all right, you want to play legal? We're going to play legal. We're going to throw
we've got attorneys on retainer. Like, we're paying them either way.
We're paying them either way. We got time. The place, we're not moving anything in Orlando. It's all staying here. We got time. So they're going to just throw money and lawyers at this and but good for Disney, I guess. We'll see what happens, but fuck DeSantis.
Fucking fascist.
I left a
Amen.
pause. I left a pause there so he can put in fucking fascists. So if he didn't, fucking fascists.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's good.
Yeah. Right. I've actually cosplayed as the dude for Halloween once. So just get a big knit robe and a
Nice.
coffee mug and whatever, man. So next one, this is one I don't quite understand. Disney and TikTok are partnering on something, right? They said they're announcing a first of its kind content hub. So it's basically a channel on TikTok is what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a channel like for 4 weeks where they're gonna have you like do certain tasks that are Disney related to collect like specialty cards and
Huh.
X, Y, and Z, but it's only for 4 weeks, so it's temporary. I mean, I've done it and it's a good idea, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
It's
thing.
like a little gamified piece of getting your eyeballs onto TikTok, but looking at Disney for 10 minutes a day.
Pretty
or
much,
whatever.
because like it's like tasks like open Disney Plus app or like it's
I mean, they
very
already have
evident.
all the Disney playlists are on there. Like the fact that TikTok's become a music platform blows my mind a little bit. It really is. So it seems like an extension of that, for the 100th.
Sure.
I'm actually looking at one of the videos now, and it's like, yeah, okay. So it's a promotional channel, but it's also like, here are the things you can do, and then reshare and stitch and retweet and do all of that. So all right, good for Disney, good for TikTok. TikTok is going to take over the world. So TikTok's going to turn into that everything app that like the ones in China and Japan are, like Line, and is it WeChat? Yeah, WeChat, where it's like it's your it's everything. It's your pay, it's your bank account, it's your train ticket, it's all of that stuff. All right,
I don't think
moving
it's
on.
gonna. I think it already is.
It
Like,
kind of is. Yeah, it is.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of scary.
and owned by the Chinese too, right? So they're all spineless. Whatever.
Our
Hi.
faves.
They see me walking around in my underwear at home because I'm looking at TikTok. Whatever. Hi guys. nice to see you. I got no
Hope you love
shame.
the view.
I hope you love the view. I have no shame. So did you all listen to that Wish title song from Ariana DeBose? Because I am obsessed.
Yeah, I did.
10
Yeah.
out of 10.
10 out of 10. First of all, my motherfucking Ariana DeBose can do no wrong. Like, I adore her with all of my heart. I am such a fan of Schmigadoon and everything else she's done. And she's just a delight. And I love her voice so much. But this song slaps. It hits every note for me in terms of that. It's the I Want song. It's the classic Disney I Want song, What does she say? So I look at I look up at the stars to guide me and throw caution to every warning sign. If knowing what it could be is what drives me, then let me be the first to stand in line. Oh, I love that lyric. Oh, I love that lyric.
Like, I can't wait for this movie. I cannot wait. If you guys, everybody complaining on Twitter about how there's so many live actions, like go watch. If I don't
throw
see y'all
your
at
money
the
at
box
this.
office,
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
like go stand in that line. Go stand over there.
Throw your money at this. And go see
Please.
it multiple times if it's good. Let them know that we want this, because I don't want a remake of this in 3 years, because that's what they're going to do,
Like, it's gonna be fantastic. Go ahead and check it
looks
out.
so beautiful.
It really is. And there were
Really.
people sort of slamming the level of CGI and the mix of CGI and 2D, and I don't know what they're talking about. Every frame looked beautiful to me.
Yeah.
It really does, and it has it's a perfect mixture of the past and the present, like in the future. Like it's such a modern take on animation, and I think it's
to me,
fantastic. It's super unique.
It reminds me of like a children's book illustration, like
Yes,
the most
yes.
beautiful
Oh, yeah,
children's
that's-
book
Yes.
illustration.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I love that.
that's
Right.
that's it. Like you said,
That's great. Yeah, and that's a really good analogy for it. It's got this sort of painterly quality to it.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
It's lovely.
So did you all watch that Once Upon a Studio yet? I am a bad fan because I have not yet, but I've seen stills and seen all the chatter about it. What's the deal?
Oh, it was beautifully done, in my opinion.
It was so great. And like I'm just gonna say, as a Robin Hood stan, we loved that little cameo that he had. Like, like it was just great. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh
Oh, oh my
wow.
God,
It's
Well,
Janine.
it's the 100th anniversary short that they made that literally has like every character, not Pixar, just straight Disney, every Disney character
Wow.
they've ever done, is in this short, and evidently it's funny and all the feels and very nostalgic.
Oh, I saw
Um,
like a still from that.
there's a couple of
Hmm.
I think there was a couple of characters that didn't make it that people are like complaining about, but
yeah, there was a few in there I didn't expect to see, which was really refreshing, and I like that they were all in their original animated styles.
Joanna from Rescuers Down Under is in there, which makes me happy. Joanna, the lizard, the
Yeah.
little monitor lizard or whatever she is,
Oh,
um,
I love her.
with stealing the eggs. Yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of my favorite Disney scenes. It's so good. All right, well that's on my watch list for now.
Yeah, I'll get to it eventually, I
Yeah,
guess. I've just
we'll talk,
I just
but we'll leave it
moved.
we'll leave it on the list. Oh yeah, you just moved, right?
I just moved. I'm going to
Oh,
a wedding next weekend. I have to make a Halloween costume and then it's my wedding.
and then it's your wedding. You got a busy couple of weeks, girl.
Yeah, it's a miracle I'm here.
It's a we'll leave it on the list. Let's leave it on the list and we'll talk about it again with Nathan next week.
Yeah.
Moving on to Universal. Janine, we have
Yeah,
some horror news.
yeah, so Universal Horror Unleashed is announced. Universal is making its first ever year-round horror experience in Las Vegas. I think we talked about this
Yeah.
at some point a while back.
Yeah.
I know Permit Princess Alicia Stella, I think she was following this, I think. I don't know. That all we know is the name, Horror Unleashed, Las Vegas. No, that's
Yeah, there was another tweet I saw that had some concept art, and it just nothing inside. It was just like the big building outside, and it's not in the same building as Area 15. Area 15 actually has a big expansion area behind it, so it looks like they're adding more food and retail and shops and sort of a promenade. And there's this giant building that Horror Unleashed is in. So I'm very excited to see what it becomes. I'm a huge fan of what Michael Aiello and all the team down there do. So hopefully it will be banging and closer to home for me. So
oh yeah, that's a hop, skip, and a jump for you.
then Horror Nights Orlando. Horror Nights Hollywood, it's fine. I love you, John Murdy, but it's so crowded. Like they oversell it, and I think the mazes are all great, but I went this year and it was like, oh, it's a chore because they pack it so tight.
Mm.
But creatively, it's good stuff. What else do we got from Universal? Universal Orlando news.
Yeah, so Universal Orlando was granted a special development and tax district. It's called the Shingle Creek Transit and Utility Community Development District. It has like a commuter rail linking Orlando International and iDrive to Epic Universe. It encompasses the new park, Epic Universe. It looks like they're getting $174 million from Orange County for improvements to the future Epic Boulevard. I guess the bulk of the investment is going towards the train that connects the airport to the theme park, which
Yeah,
is really cool.
yeah. Disney cannot be happy about that.
Well, I mean, I just find it interesting because, I mean, it's kind of similar to, I don't know, it just seems weird that like they have no issues as a special district doing this, but Disney doesn't, and it just seems like the only reason it is because Universal didn't really say anything about the Don't Say Gay thing.
It's actually because this was granted by the county and Disney's was from the state.
Oh, so the county can override DeSantis.
Like,
Well,
so
it's
they're
not even that
like
they
they're
like they're
basically
just
getting-
able to make their own deals,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
Whereas the Disney deal was through the state.
But just a train going from the airport right to the convention center / Epic Universe. Oh my God. Like
Yeah.
if they turn that into a travel hub where you can go there and then, shuttles to your airport or whatever. Hell yes. That's my God. They're literally dropping people at Universal's front door.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Um,
And then
Pretty cool.
out here on the West Coast,
Yeah,
have a
we
new
got
coaster going in.
yeah, we got details. The Fast and Furious coaster details were revealed. I guess Hollywood Studios or Disney Universal Studios Hollywood, Jesus Christ, did some sound tests
Yeah.
and blasted some roller coaster sounds to assuage some of its neighbors.
Yeah.
But looks like it's at the former site of Animal Actors, and it's going to go up and down the hill.
Yeah.
Looks like 2 trains that hold 16 people each, and ride vehicles have 360-degree rotation.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I know a certain 10-year-old who would absolutely love that.
The layout looks like a Velocicoaster Light to me. It's got some similar elements, just not quite as big and not as
Yeah.
many launches. But
This concept art is weird. Like there's this hook that just kind of has like multiple cars spinning on it, and then the track just disappears.
I think that's
So,
the sign.
That's like a showpiece.
Yeah, I think that's the
sign.
sign.
Like the
Yeah.
Hulk sign.
But
you
that's
know?
the highest part of the ride. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's weird.
Well, over the last like 6 or 8 months, maybe even a year, I've been to the park a couple of times, and they had speakers set up all over the hills, blasting roller coaster screams and roller coaster chain lift noises and all that stuff for months and months and months and months.
Wow.
Well,
So
based on what I remember of it, I can kind of see because like those houses are fairly close.
well,
to
you
that
have
damn
right.
park.
If you look on Google Earth, you have a giant golf course, right
It's
there,
like a
and then
huge golf course, like right
huge
there,
golf course,
and then all those residential houses.
right, and then what the actual lake of Toluca Lake is back there, and we're talking this is multi-million-dollar. These are very expensive NIMBYs, right? When they are, when I worked there, they used to complain about the noise coming from inside the King Kong building,
Wow.
that they can hear him roaring because it goes across that golf course, right? But it's maybe on a clear day, maybe when the wind's blowing a certain way, I don't know. It's just they were a pain in the studio's butt for the longest time. So when I heard this was happening, I'm like, oh, they hired real good people to figure this out for them. And I think the turning vehicles are actually part of the solution, that on certain turns, certain moves, they're going to point you away from that direction so that when your screams point the other way. Basically, they're using right, and they're adding sound mitigation to some of the coaster track areas. They're filling the track with basically it's this rubber filler that dampens it. They're doing a lot and when you look at the numbers, they actually sent out a document. If you search online, there's a document that shows what they sent out to the community, and like here's the data, and the data in terms of noise is like less than the freeway. It's nothing. So they've done their homework. They hired very good acoustic people. They laid out a case for it. The neighbors are still going to complain. They're still going to complain that they have.
Yeah, they're going to complain regardless.
Regardless.
So, I mean, they're doing their due diligence at least.
Yeah. Some of the big turns have big half pipe shields, like they have on Incredicoaster at DCA, like they enclose those, and that was done for the same reason, so that the screams don't go to the neighboring hotels. But I'm excited for a coaster like this in my backyard. That's literally an 8-minute drive from my front door, so I'm excited to see what it's like. But
I don't know. I've been burned by Fast and Furious before. I'll believe the hype when I'm alone.
Yeah, true. That, yeah. The less we speak about that, the better. So now we are on to another segment. We are going to our favorite segment called "Beware Our Guest."
All right. So this week we actually have nothing too horrific. It's certainly no Jizzatui. But we've got our
Wait,
first
what did you
one.
call it?
Wait, go back. What
did
did you say?
call it?
Jizzatui. Ratatouille.
That's
The people.
that's what we call it now?
Yeah. Well, I'm accept. I'll allow it.
The court has ruled.
Spankatui.
Oh,
Sploojatui.
no. Sploojatui.
We are so unserious.
I don't even think we should give it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can, yeah. But I guess Buzz Lightyear went down and someone just decided to hop out of the vehicle when they weren't supposed to and walk around on the sets, and they got kicked out. That's pretty much the long and the short of it. And
Oh, and when you watch the video, he's not getting out just to walk around and get out early because he's impatient. He's literally like running.
he's running around and
sprinting.
yeah, he knows he's not supposed to be doing that. He left his bag in the
the-
vehicle
yeah,
though, which is
idiot.
what a dope. So yeah,
Dumbass.
that one's the least offensive. I mean, don't do that. But it's certainly not the next story, which is I guess a large group of people, somehow it's always people wearing matching shirts, was standing in the walkway outside the Mad Tea Party in Disneyland, and someone asked them to move, and they were like, you got to go around us, but there was not really actually any way to go around them, and somehow it ended up in a full-on brawl, because that's worth that sort of thing. So yeah, there's just a video of these two families just wailing on each other, children
Yeah.
watching,
In Fantasyland, though?
like in Fantasyland,
Yeah,
in front of the giant
the
whale.
in front of the gentlest, slowest ride in the park.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though, I watched the video because I feel like whenever it comes to these fighting videos, you never really see who threw the first punch. But it was like clear that it got physical because a man ended up pushing one of the teenage girls
Mhm.
away from the other teenage girl. So he was the one that pushed her first, and then the other guy came and then he was like defending the other girl. So that's how it became a physical altercation. It was not just it was one person who threw the first shot.
Yeah.
And
So that's what it was.
dudes,
It-
don't shove teenage girls. Don't be a shithead. Like, come on. Ugh. I mean, you shouldn't shove
So
you shouldn't shove
unnecessary, like-
anybody, but that's just egregious.
Yeah.
Lord.
It's just the whole thing should just, like you said, it's Fantasyland. It should not be happening there whatsoever. So why are we
Because people are
Someday.
paying
It's
$10
supposed to be the-
million to go to these parks, and they expect them to be perfect,
Yeah,
and they
entitlement.
find
Entitlement.
out that it's miserable.
Yeah. I have a song for it. Someday
Yeah.
my fists will come.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
All right, moving on. It's time for we've got another fine entry, computerized bit of loveliness from the Astuter Computer Haikuter.
That's why I'm a router for the computer. Everybody needs a friend.
All right, computer, can you please write me a haiku about our episode today? Maybe about the price hikes and maybe about the Fast and Furious. How about that? Disney's grand world. Price soars, but thrill prevails fast. Fast and Furious.
Bars.
That was deep. That
was
really
deep.
hit me.
That was good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Studio Computer. That was good. That was fantastic.
So little said, but so much
So
to
much.
take out.
The food's terrible, but the portions are huge.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a barn burner, you guys. This is a long one, but we had some heady topics in there. I'm glad we got to talk about some of that stuff. As always, don't forget to go to bit.ly rat pride. That's where you can get some really cool merch that we've come up. All proceeds go to the Trevor Project. Rat Castle is produced by Nathan Hartman. Please subscribe and tell all of your friends. Write us a note or buy some merch again at bit.ly/ratcastle or rat pride. And you can send us notes in the mailbag. Tell us what you think of the show. Ask us any questions. Sing us a song. Write us your own poem, like based on an episode. We haven't done that. I want to start doing that, like a call to action to fans. Okay.
Honestly, I'm gonna do this. If you send in a Rat Castle poem, I will send you a Rat Castle sticker.
There we go.
Ooh.
There we go.
I will
There we
do
go.
that.
So that's a new. We're gonna Nathan. We got a new segment.
Nathan was like, how many
Fan-
segments do we have?
fan
Like-
created poems, and we'll have to come up with a name for it, like rat related, like rat droppings or something.
Oh,
No, we love you
so
all. We love you
funny.
all. And we love your poop. So please send us some. With that, with that being said, please grab your belongings and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?